morning. It's Monday, February 20th, and this is the start of President's Week. And I want to start with something that's happening in the United States that really should be corrected. We are killing over 270,000 trees a year. Think of that. 270,000 trees a year are being chopped down. And you know what for? They're being chopped down because we have to wipe our ass. Is wiping our ass with toilet paper so important that we have to kill all these trees? Why are we one of the only civilized countries in the world that do not have bidets in every bathroom? When you look at a map of the world's countries that are using bidets, you will find that the U.S. and I think England are the only countries that don't have a bidet in almost every bathroom. Instead, we kill trees. We pile toilet paper up in our water supplies. We're wasting a valuable resource because we haven't come to grips with a better way to wipe our asses. And the bidet, if you listen to many people, it's a wonderful thing. It's comfortable, it's warm water, it flushes you out. And we will save 270,000 trees. And you may find it hard to believe that countries in South America and in Asia have bidets, but we don't. If you look at a map of the world, you will see that all of these countries have a big check mark on their silhouettes, while the United States has an X. For some reason, and this goes way back in history, for some reason we are not comfortable getting our assholes cleaned with a little bit of water, warm water, not cold water, warm water, as opposed to wiping it with toilet paper. And if you know what toilet paper costs now, you would be happy to have a bidet in your house. I think you would be. So let's look at this situation. Now, if we go back in history, the bidet may not be favored by people in the U.S. because at one point they were used in brothels, and I'm sure they're still used in brothels. And you know, in our Puritan nation, going to a whorehouse was not an acceptable activity. So maybe that's one reason why we don't have bidets in our bathrooms, because they were used in whorehouses. Another reason that the U.S. is probably behind in the bidet institution is because we never really saw those things in action until we went overseas to fight World War II. So we didn't come in contact with the bidet until we were at war. And I guess we didn't bring the idea back home strong enough. So the only time we came in contact with it was when we sent all our troops to Europe to fight in World War II. And of course, most of those soldiers who came across the bidets were in a brothel, where they were very popular instruments of cleanliness. Another factor against the bidet was they believed that it could become used as a birth control. And many in this country didn't agree with birth control. So the bidet was believed to be able to set back pregnancies, eliminate pregnancies, stop women from having babies. So that's another reason why it fell into a non-favored position. Because in this country at some point, contraception was not really an acceptable idea. So the bidet got a bad rap for several different reasons. So far, there were even people in the early days that viewed a bidet as a symbol of sin because of its relationship in their minds of stopping the pregnancies and allowing fornication to occur somewhat safely, I guess. We've come a long way, baby, but we still don't have our bidets. Now, the bidet was invented by the French in the 1600s. And prior to that, if you wanted to do a cleanliness on your private parts, you had to sit around a bowl with some warm water in it and do that. So the bidet didn't really come in probably until there was plumbing, right? You need some plumbing to have a bidet. Otherwise, you got to have some stationary water sitting in a bowl. But the French invented it somewhat in the 1600s. And it's progressed nicely since then in most parts of the world, but not in the United States, and not in England either. And I believe that's part of the problem. The English had a great influence on what happened in this country in the early days. And since the bidet was looked upon as something that the French aristocracy used, that even put it in a worse light. So it wasn't until plumbing occurred in the 1800s, the late 1800s, that bidets came out of the bedroom and into the bathroom because there was running water there. And there were many, many things associated with it that made people in the United States uncomfortable with bidets. And especially the women's menstrual cycle bothered men. They didn't want to know anything about it. And since the bidet was used as a cleansing instrument in the early days too, men were not likely to have one put in their home when they were starting out. So you see, there was some prejudice involved in having a bidet that had to be overcome. But in most parts of the world, they've overcome it, but not in the United States and not in England. And if you look at all the bathrooms around right now, there's just no room for bidets. The bathrooms are not made for them. And if you want to put one in, it's a very expensive proposition, with all the plumbing and the additional space and knocking down walls, etc. But there is something that you can do. And I'm not talking about wet wipes. Wet wipes are a disaster. They clog all the sewer systems in the world, and they cause terrible damage to many of our water sites. But there are new flash toilets that have a spray that can be fitted to your regular toilet, and it will spray warm water on your tushy. So if you're inclined to save the trees, then get yourself a flash toilet. That's it for today. I'll see you in the morning.